Hey guys, welcome to today's show. We're talking about how to eat well when traveling. And this is something that a lot of people ask about, maybe a little less this year in 2020 compared to in previous years with just less travel happening in general, but still something that's so prevalent for people because traveling, being on the road, being away from your normal routine, your normal options is no reason to let your health goals slip. And if you've ever had your nutrition derailed due to travel, you're not alone. Anyone that's traveled before knows how hard it is to stick to a way of eating that supports what your goals are, what results you're after when it comes to looking and feeling your best. And I get it. There's totally challenges. There's things that are so common for people that make it maybe a little more challenging than being at home. But that doesn't mean that you have to throw in the towel when you're eating when you're traveling. So listen up today to find out some tips and strategies to keep your diet on the right track when you're on the road. Now I know at some point you've probably traveled before and you've been stuck with little to no good options at some point. And sometimes that's due to just the area you're in. Sometimes you don't have access to good food. And sometimes we tend to think traveling is an excuse to uh, just let our diet slip for a little bit, to have some things that we wouldn't normally have. And I'm by no means saying that when you travel, you have to eat perfect and super clean and rigid, but I am talking about trying to find some healthier options and choose better over perfect when it comes to traveling. And that's what I want to talk about today because I get it. It's not easy to eat healthy on the road and it's not always fun. Now, you have to know what kind of vacation you're on. If you're on a vacation where you're really just looking to splurge and enjoy it, I get it. That's different. Talking about when you're trying to keep your health goals on track, when you're trying to keep eating healthy and feeling good on your trip. Because I've done both. I've been able to travel and be very successful with eating healthy. And I've also traveled and completely let things slip. One decision turns into a bunch of bad decisions with eating and drinking. And then all of a sudden, I feel lousy. I'm set back weeks, it seems like, in terms of how my body's feeling, how my energy is. And I've gotten a little wiser over time. And I've realized that that's just not worth it for me. It doesn't feel as fun when I suffer for it for days or weeks after coming back from traveling. So I want to talk to you guys today about what are some ways to eat healthy when you're traveling. What are some practical tips you can use to do this next time you're traveling? First thing I recommend is hit the grocery store right away and stock up when you're able to. Now, you may or may not have access to a fridge, you may not have access to much storage, but when you're able to, stack up on some things that will help support your goals and help keep you healthy. Now, you know what those foods are for you. You can find some non-perishable things, which our second tip is finding some non-perishable healthy options. Ideally, you can do this at the grocery store. There's going to be some better options, but even if you have to go to a gas station or something, some non-perishable items such as beef jerky, canned fish. We love our sardines here in the Pashkowski household is a staple for us when traveling. Any of these canned fish are very easy to consume, very easy to store. I've gotten my bag checked at the airport before for having too many sardines in there. True story. But things like that are extremely valuable when you're traveling. You're not sure what kind of food you're going to be around, but these things can be an awesome way to make sure that you know you're getting at least something that works for you. Nuts, seeds, something along those lines can also fall into that of stuff that's easy to pack and easy to have on hand. Now, caveat with that is make sure that you don't, if you're packing a lot of snacks, you don't have to eat them all on the flight there or the drive there. A lot of people, they pack a lot of snacks and then because they're sitting there, it's like, oh, it's right there. I'll have a little bit. Make sure you're spacing these out. These are meant to be there if you don't have other good options or if you're hungry and craving a snack, having some things on hand. So make sure the key with having things on hand is that they have to still be on hand for them to be successful. So if you eat all of them in the first couple hours of the trip, then that defeats the purpose of stocking up on those things. When you are going to be eating out, next tip, think better over perfect. Talked about this at the start of the show. Eating out is not a reason to just say screw it and pig out. You're going to want to determine going into the meal what potential changes you can make. And that can be something like instead of fries, I'm going to order a salad. I'm going to get a burger, but I'm going to do it without the bun. I'm not going to get extra sauce or dressing on there, things that tend to have a lot of fat or sugar. Those are some decisions you can make going into a meal. Usually you at least have an idea of what's there, and you can make those decisions, make those small wins to help set yourself up for success during it. If you're going to an Italian restaurant, it could be, I'm not going to have any of the bread before that they serve before. Any of these little wins can really work wonders for you. That can look so different person to person in terms of what works for you, what can make you feel better. But determining this ahead of time is the big kicker with this one, because if you wait to do it during it, if you're not prepared and you wait to look to the meal till you get there and you see something and you're super hungry by that point, you're going to default to the easy option or what you're craving. But if you make that decision ahead of time and commit to yourself to stick to it, that makes it so much easier to follow through when you get there. So make sure you're predetermining that ahead of time, especially if you know where you're going to be eating at. Now, even if you're going to a fast food place, there's plenty of options that still will allow you to stay on track. And that would be something like, some kind of chicken sandwich or burger without the bun. Most places have salads now. There's ways to eat much healthier. Even fast food places have come a long way with options that are available. So make sure you're making those healthy choices and think better over perfect. It's not going to be your nice grass-fed patty with your homemade avocado dressing on it and these sweet potato fries that are cooked in the right oil. You're going to have to make some sacrifices, but choose better over perfect. Now, when able to, something I recommend, something that's worked well for my body. I'm not saying this is the case for you, but generally speaking, for myself and for a lot of the clients that I work with, opting for high quality fats and protein over carb choices is going to be a better option when traveling. Now, why is this? It keeps you full for longer. Fats and proteins tend to be more satisfying. They tend to stick to our bones for longer, and people tend to feel more satisfied and feel better when choosing that. If you're eating things like dried fruits, if you're eating things like any kind of carb sources, if you're drinking your calories, these are things that are going to make you hungry sooner and tend to make you crave more of the carbs or the sugars or the candy or the ice cream or you name whatever it is. But fat and protein sources are going to be better. And that's, if we're talking non-perishables, that's things I mentioned earlier. Canned fish can be good. Beef jerky, if you have access, if you're out to eat, getting a solid protein source and something with some good quality fats in it. Now, beware of energy bars and beware of some of the drinks you're drinking. Sugars can add up quickly in drinks. Sometimes you want to pick up like a vitamin water, a Gatorade or something to hydrate, which isn't necessarily any better for hydration than water would be. But some of those things can carry a lot of sugar. Same thing with energy bars. They're easy to pack. Even things that people seem as healthier foods like RX bars still carry a lot of sugar and can actually set you back on your goals. So make sure you're looking at labels, try and choose things with a little higher quality fat and protein options over the carb sources. A few more tips here. Make sure you drink lots of water and take it easy on the caffeine and alcohol when able, especially if you're not used to drinking a lot of caffeine. A lot of times when we're traveling, we're reaching for more coffee, we're reaching for more drinks. Make sure that I'm not saying don't enjoy yourself or don't have those things, but make sure it's not going overboard or not leading to, say, poor food choices down the road. Because when you're dehydrated, you're going to crave different, usually less healthy foods. So make sure that you're choosing water when able, even if that's between the caffeine, between the alcohol. Drink lots of water. Now, if there's really no good options, try fasting. And you're not going to starve. You can skip a meal if you're in between on something. And this is, again, where I like to have people choose more higher quality fats and proteins, because it makes something like fasting, like the time window between eating, it allows you to stretch it out a little farther. So know that you won't starve. If you do have to skip a meal just because it's noon, doesn't mean you have to pull over to the next fast food place and find something to eat. If you're used to eating at noon, you can try and stretch that out a little longer and wait for the right choice to come around. So that's a last option. I do have one bonus tip to add to it. Make sure you're prioritizing movement and sleep, stress management, those things that I harp on in so many other of the shows that I do on here, because those things are really key towards our cravings, towards how we're responding to situations, if we're reaching for certain foods or not. Those things are so important, especially if we're talking crossing time zones and you're jet lagged and things are thrown off, your sleep schedule's off. It makes it much less harder to make those right decisions. So even though this is a show on today on eating well, those are bonus tips that should not be left unsaid. Move, and it doesn't have to be strenuous, crazy workout. Take a walk, get moving, get some good quality sleep when you can, and that will help you with your goals as well. So remember, guys, the choice is up to you. You don't have to be perfect when you're traveling. You don't have to be rigid. It doesn't even mean you can't enjoy yourself, but pick and choose your battles, especially ahead of time when you can. Predetermine those things that you want to work on and then follow through with it. Set yourself up for success. If you guys listened to yesterday's show, talked all about motivation and the myths behind it. If you just hope that you're motivated on a trip and hope that you're feeling healthy, just because you're feeling healthy when you plan the trip doesn't mean when you actually get in the situation that you're going to want to follow through on that. So don't rely on motivation alone. Set yourself up for success with some of these strategies, and then you can stay on track with your health and fitness goals. You can still enjoy yourself, and you can come back feeling good and not worrying about setting yourself too far back. So guys, I hope that was helpful. Always reach out if you guys need anything. If you guys are looking for some more specific advice when it comes to nutrition or, in fact, exercise, movement, any of those other things as well, I put together a free download for you guys, the High Performance Health Starter Kit. The link's right there in the show notes. Make sure to check that out. Covers the 5 foundations needed to get healthy, strong, and confident in your health. So make sure to check that out. Reach out if you guys do need anything. I appreciate all you guys listening in, and I'll talk to you tomorrow.